Hi, welcome to Tai Chi Class 2. If you didn't take Class 1, then go back and take Class 1. There's no shortcuts, I'm afraid. I'm not teaching mixed ability drop-in like I normally do at the centre. Teaching more based on a sort of a foundation course that I teach, which made sense with the videoing. We will be going back over the movements we learnt last week. I like to teach foundation in depth rather than in breadth. Learning new choreography can be confusing and take away from the understanding of the movements which we're aiming to achieve. You might need to let go of instant gratification, as the benefits of the practice can be a little intangible. Say if you're used to weight training and cardio as achievement, then you can balance that by taking this time to be meditative and gentle with the body. For those who find it hard to motivate themselves to exercise, I think the gentle nature of Tai Chi can be appealing. And learning how to move correctly, really we're protecting ourselves from injury for this and all activities, so that's got to be a good thing. Going deeper with the basic moves, I'll be guiding in a meditative style, kind of going into different areas to focus on with the qigong exercises. You have to trust that you'll hear the instructions that you're ready for without trying to take it all in. Some bits will mean more to different people. You may want to sort of focus in on one aspect or try different ones out. Please do mute me or pause the video for your own quiet practice if you feel overwhelmed. You need to take control of your own learning, really. That I'm not there to tune into individual needs actually gives you the opportunity to empower yourself by recognising your learning style and needs and balancing that with receiving the support and guidance. Do be kind and gentle with yourself if you feel like you're not getting it right. It is a difficult art to master, and forgiving our imperfections is one of the greatest lessons to learn. With regards to teaching with this medium, I'm experimenting with angles in the 3D. I would tend to practice with my back to the class. But in 3D you have the benefit of like the oblique view, which obviously you don't get on a screen. But then back view is nice for following along. You can't necessarily see the arms. I think side view can be quite useful. I think some are okay with mirroring front view, but I know it's confusing for many, including me. And I would tend to teach, people tend to teach how they like to learn, which is why can be a bit heavy on instruction and description. I am working on my visual learning, but it's a life's work. So I'll try out switching around with angles. That may be confusing as well, so just bear with me and do email me with feedback. Okay. So just starting, standing with the feet hip width apart, bending the knees, feet roughly parallel from the second toe to the middle of the ankle. Bending the knees, sinking down, back straight. Just feeling into the feet, just allowing the body to melt down into the ground, but without relaxing down, without collapsing, having this alive feeling as well, a kind of upwards and outwards. Just feeling the support of the earth and feeling the weight falling evenly through the feet, spine straight. Just noticing if you're feeling more weight in the heels or in the toes, as to whether you need to adjust the pelvis, and feeling maybe you have a tendency to carry the weight in one side or the other. What feels central to you? So sinking down and then imagining you're lengthening through the spine straight, I like to imagine the spine stretching all the way down to the ground, connecting with the earth, and also having the stretching upwards. Sometimes we say we're imagining kind of being held from a thread from the crown of the head, so we're having this connection between heaven and earth. Scanning the body for tension, softening the belly, making sure the knees are soft, relaxing the jaw, just dropping the shoulders, and then sinking down and up, just aiming for a smooth movement. Just making the squat as big or as small as you want to make it. So really connecting with the soles of the feet to feel if we're sinking down straight, without leaning forwards or backwards or from one side to the other. And maybe scanning the body for tension anymore. Sometimes if we have an old injury we might be holding on to, we can just see if you can allow that to melt down into the ground and just see if you can leave it there on the way back up. As we're scanning for the body for tension, there will be things that we just aren't ready to let go of. It's okay, we just lovingly allow it to be there. And then the arms coming into eagle flying, lengthening through the arms as we're coming up. So moving as one piece. As we come up, arms come with expanding, sinking. Breathing in on the way up and breathing out on the way down. So we're lengthening through the arms and legs without locking the joints. And one of the key things we're practicing here that translates into our movements further along is lifting up the arms, shake the legs up. How to lift the arms, hands, without introducing tension in the shoulders. So again, maybe imagining the string is, I imagine this the very centre of the wrist coming up from here. The shoulders sinking down. Might at first need to practice actually driving the shoulder down to kind of stop its natural tendency. Keeping the elbows heavy, fingers relaxed but not collapsed. We want that structure, that alive feeling, but this sort of heavy feeling without this holding the tension. So again, shoulder sinks down, elbows heavy, stretching the elbow away, creating this space in the armpits, away, and then almost like the arms filling up with air, water, extending out through the fingertips, and then in brushing, expressing the palms slightly, stretching the wrists, brushing the fingertips. It's really nice with this one to move with the breath, so if I'm breathing slower than you breathe, then do move to your own breath rather than mine. So practice breathing deeply. We normally talk about breathing deep into the belly in our practice, but this one you might like to try just breathing all the way down into the ground and up from the feet, gathering in. Shake it out. I like starting the class with eagle flying. Even my advanced classes, we still do this one. This is the first exercise I learned in Tai Chi, and it's just a really nice grounding, centering, kind of beginning. And in my own, I come back to it in my own practice, and I discover more about my body and how I want to move just through doing this. So it's a nice one. Next, that we were practicing the first two of the 5 Immortal series. So let's check back in with your stance, goat riding stance. With these, we're practicing shifting and turning. So just have a little feel into the shifting. We're stretching the knee away, so we're aiming to be upright in the lower part of our leg. We don't want the knee to be collapsing with us. We don't want the foot to be tipping up, where we're shifting the weight out of, so we need to open and stretch the hip as we shift. We're looking for a really grounded shift, so we're not shifting from up here and swaying. One of the ways we can, you might like to imagine this, is from the full leg, the side that you're shifted into. Imagine the weight pouring down into the ground, going through a little channel underneath the feet, and then filling up. This language of emptying and filling can be useful in our Tai Chi practice. And it's opening the hips, which is kind of hard to describe. The feeling inside for me that we're kind of ending up with, as I'm going from, instead of my legs kind of feeling like this, I'm having more of a sort of square feeling here. If that makes sense to anyone. Shifting the weight and turning the hips. Turning, opening the hips this way so that the knee stays in line with the toe. So hips moving this way, toe, knee stretching this way. Upper body is being carried, allowing the upper body to be carried by the hips. Just put the hands or the fingers around the hip joints to help isolate the movement in this area. This is the powerful area. Our power's coming from the dantian in the middle, but we're driving around with the hips sort of moving backwards and forwards. Just being really soft and careful, mindful with the knees. And then putting those together, shifting into one side and turning, coming back into the centre, shifting and turning into the other side. The arms for the 5 immortals, number 1, stalk stands in the water. So the arms is like the beginning of our eagle flying. There's opening here, rounded here, rotating, the palms are sort of diagonally behind. Expressing slightly through the hand, pushing through the heel of the hand. You stretch down the pericardial meridian. Rotating around. Start to experiment with the stretches in the arms. Just holding the arms still. And just noticing if you're over twisting, the arms becoming disconnected from the body, turning the head. We have a tendency to think, okay, I'm turning, I need to turn as far as I can. We're just turning as far as the hips go, whilst we can still maintain this structure with the knees facing forwards. So your hip rotation may be small, that's fine. We're not aiming to do these as big as we can, we're aiming to do them as correctly as we can, in a way that's just supporting and stretching our body in the way that we need, without overreaching. So we're gazing out to the horizon. In classes I have to advise people for health and safety, firstly, to practice with their eyes open. It can be really tempting to go into the body to sort of help with that meditating in to what things are feeling like, but it's way more difficult to balance with your eyes closed, so do watch out for that. But ultimately in Tai Chi is one of the yin yang practices. We're balancing the internal with the external. So practicing peripheral vision. It's good sometimes to look down at what your body's doing as we're learning. Then more and more we're learning how to understand what our body's doing without looking, or still just having a sort of soft gaze as to what's going on around us. Stork stands in the water. From the side, should I do a side view of this one? Move the back view for a bit, and then we'll move on. Shifting and turning. This first one, we're focusing on the lower body. There are stretches and things to understand in the upper body, but we've been given the opportunity here with little choreography, no choreography in the arms, to just focus on our core movement. So the second one, shake it out. In this series, weighing the grain. To demonstrate the arms again, we're bending at the elbows. Is only the body part that's moving, and we're rotating. It's these two simple movements that, with the turning of the hips, turn into maintaining this connection with the palms. So we're not lifting the hands, it's almost coming down before it comes up. Again here, just having the shoulders sunk down, sinking, dropping with the elbow. It's almost allowing the hands to float, rather than thinking about this sort of yang kind of doing with the hands. It's a being, allowing the hands to rotate around each other, around the ball, weighing the grains from this connection with the palms. We can be imagining we're pouring from one side to the other. So as I'm shifting into the right, the weight's coming down into the right leg, the right arm's dropping down, right hand's dropping down, left hand's coming light on this side, left hand's coming up. Coming into the centre, so the hand's about torso width. And then as the hip comes forward, elbow comes with, hand floating up. So just working on one or any of those things that I've overloaded you with. And in the beginning, a lot of it is noticing that the shoulders coming up, and it can take a while to just kind of practice or feel into just making those corrections, so that we're moving in a soft, gentle, efficient kind of way. You may want to notice the breath. I'm not going to give breathing instructions. The breathing instructions are open to interpretation anyway. There's different ways you can breathe with this exercise. Chiefly make sure you are breathing. You're holding your breath with concentration. Also with concentration we have a tendency to look down at the floor, so we're aiming for gaze level. Weighing the grain. Shake it out. So moving off the spot, we're going into our walking exercise. Give myself some room to walk towards you. Forward stance, front foot facing forwards, back foot facing into the diagonal, 45 degrees. Roughly 70% of the weight in the front, 30% of the weight in the back. If you're leaning too far forwards, you'll notice this back foot tipping up. Maintaining upright, so the weight's kind of sunk down into the ground. It's not having our weight from leaning forwards. Maintaining connection with the back heel. Our forward stance, hips square. So for our walking exercise, we're shifting all of the weight into the back foot and then opening the hips. So keeping this hip, knee, toe in line here, opening here, knees, toes into the 45 degrees this way, shifting, picking up this foot and putting it down straight so that we maintain hip width this way. But we're putting the foot down, keeping the weight here, and then shifting the weight, turning the hips to the front. Back, open, shift, step, shifting and squaring. That's quite deep then. Just make it a small step if you need to. If you want to do some big lunges, be careful with yourself. To emphasise the gentleness of the practice, the more yin side, think of it not as stepping, some kind of yang step that we're doing. You might like to think of it as picking the foot up and putting it down again. Just allowing it to fall naturally where it falls as you swing out. We're going to do plenty of walking practice because this, from feedback, seems to be the favourite part of the class for my students, beginners and seniors and advanced. And it's really useful when we come to learning the form. Remembering to maintain hip width as we're shifting into diagonal, wanting to bring the foot, feeling like we need to bring the foot wide so that we end up with our feet apart. Don't want our feet to be together in tight rope. There's arm movements we do to this exercise, but still, even in my advanced classes, we practice this without the arms, because there's just so much to feel into. Spine straight. To keep my spine straight and pointing the tail pointing down to the ground. Sometimes I can imagine kind of drawing a line. My spine's extending down, I'm drawing a line and I'm moving, maintaining upright. With breathing, nice ways of breathing into that exercise as well. Maybe next week we'll talk about that. And this is a really good one for starting to feel moving from the dantian, the energy centre, and the belly, where our Tai Chi moves come from. We'll talk a bit more about that next week. Next, I do the demonstration of the form for people to have a break or for people to copy along. Or just for people to see what we're working towards, as the building the choreography can take a while. It's a different way of learning if you do want to just copy along, when we do come to break the moves down properly, you will have some kind of, your body will have some kind of idea of it. I'm going to demonstrate from this way today, so that I can see my own mistakes from a different angle, a different direction. Turns out videoing yourself and watching it back is quite an intense lesson in itself. If any of my senior students are watching, I recommend, in the absence of proper teaching in lockdown, be your own harshest critic. Stepping out. Moving hands like small heavenly circles. Stepping into ward off left. Ward off right. Roll back. Press. Push. Single whip. Lifting hands. Shoulder strike. White crane spreads its wings. Brush knee and push. Hand strong to loop. Brush knee and push. Sun and the moon rising together. Punch. Wipe off. Push. Crossing hands. Embrace tiger, return to mountain. This is the middle section of the form. This is a throw. Roll back and press. Push. Single whip. Bear walking. Fists under elbow. Stepping back to repulse the monkey. Parting the wild horse's mane. Moving hands like clouds. Single whip. Snake creeps down under the water. Golden rooster stands on left leg. So that's the end of the middle section, going into the final section of 3. So we will be starting from the beginning. don't worry. Breaking it down. And so to recap from the front. Starting posture, heels together, toes facing into the diagonal 45 degrees. Just having the knees, starting with the knees slightly bent, soft, softening in the belly, just relaxing into the shoulders. And we're sinking into the right hand side, wrists come up. This is like our stalk stands in the water. Turning out the left heel, stepping to hip width, shifting to the left, turning to the front, pivoting on the heel, coming into the centre, standing up, small heavenly circles. This is exactly like eagle flying, and the arms are coming up in front of us rather than out to the sides. Moving hands like small heavenly circles. Let's just do a couple of them. Sinking into the right hand side, floating the wrists, stepping out, shift, turn, coming into the centre, standing up, moving hands like small heavenly circles. Sinking, stepping out, turning to the front, toes turning in, coming into the centre, moving hands like small heavenly circles. Begin. Then from the bottom of small heavenly circles, we're shifting into the left, floating the right wrist. It's like with our weighing the grain here, this side of the body is becoming heavy, this side of the body comes light, holding a ball. We've released the weight in the right foot, so we can pivot without straining the knee. We're opening the hips. Foot facing this way. Shifting to the right, picking up the foot, putting it down again just in front of where it was. And then we shift, change the hands. Top hand brushes down the centre line. Bottom hand stretches around the outside of the imaginary Tai Chi ball. And then as we turn the hips and turn the back foot in, turning away from this bottom hand, top arm's coming with us. Ward of left. Let's just do the feet first, so you can actually see my feet. From the bottom of small heavenly circles, maybe this way. Shifting into the left, stretching away with the knee, opening the hips, so we're keeping this knee facing in line with the toes here, knees, hip and toe here, shifting to the right, picking up the left foot, putting it down. Same with our walking here, we're aiming to put the foot down without the weight in it, and then we're shifting the weight 70%, roughly 70% of the weight in the front, 30% of the weight in the back. Shifting the weight and turning the hips, turning in the back foot, his hip and toes connected. Ending up in a forward stance. So let's just run through that a few times. Shift. Turning out the right toes. Shifting to the right. Step. Shift. Turn. Forward stance. Shift. Turn. Shift. Step. Shift. Turn. One more. If you struggle with balance, making this slow step can be really difficult. So do what you need to do. If you want to work on your balance, we just really imagining sinking down to this side that you're staying in with, and just stretching this foot away, keeping our weight over here, keeping our weight sunk down, so that we can just place the foot and then shift. Shake legs up. I'm working you hard. Arms, to demonstrate from the front, from the bottom of small heavenly circles. Right wrist floats up, bottom one tucks under the belly, holding the ball. And we just keep hold of the ball for a bit until we've stepped. And then when we shift, top hand brushes down the centre line, expressing the palm at the bottom. Bottom hand comes around, stretches forwards, up and around until it's opposite the heart centre, keeping this circular structure in the arm. Slowly like this, and then as we turn the hips at the end, square to the front, this bottom hand stays where it is. As we stretch away from it, there's a stretching down the outside of the arm, keeping a circle here, circle here. This top arm's coming with us, remaining fixed, so it's not moving independently of the body, of the torso. I'm going to demonstrate. Let's try this way. From the bottom of small heavenly circles. Shifting the weight to the left, floating the right wrist, holding the ball. And then opening, turning toes. Right toes to the right. Shifting into that foot. Picking up the back foot, putting it down, and then shift, change the hands. And then turn to square the front, pivoting on the heel of the back foot, ward off left. From this way. Shifting left, floating the right wrist, holding a ball. Shifting to the right. Step. Shift, change the hands. Square into the front, ward off left. It's nice to stand in the postures at the end and just correct yourself, feeling into the stretches in the arms. Don't worry if you get to that stage and realise that your hands are different, wrong hands. That's just how you begin. We're going to practice it a few more, 100 times over the course of the week, so you will get it eventually. Shift, open the hands. Go through a few more together. One more and then we'll put it together. So from the beginning, do one from this way. Starting posture. Sinking to the right, stepping out. Shift. Square. Standing up. Shift. Holding a ball. Shift. Step. Shift. Change the hands. Ward off left. Turning into ward off left. Again. this way. Begin. From here, from ward off right, we're doing a quarter turn into ward off left. So just show you, I think we'll break this down next week, but I'll just show you for now. From ward off right, forwards, opening, pivoting, holding the ball, small step, ward off right. So that's plenty to be going on with and practicing until next week. Let's just finish by just standing. Again, like we did at the beginning. Just feeling into the body now, into the mind now, as compared to when we started the class. Just feeling into the kind of energy that we've activated, the lightness, heaviness, and just connecting back in with the ground and the breath. And well done if you did make it all the way to the end of class too. I'll look forward to you seeing me next week. Take care.